We keep deities at home, but we don't worship them actually. We think we are worshipping them, but there is no proper worship. Worship should be done according to Shastras. Worship cannot be done whimsically. We cannot just keep a deity and just do what we want, and then we cannot eat meat at home and have deities, for example. That is considered great deity aparad, and yet so many Hindus in the world are doing that actually. They keep murtis at home, but their diet, for example, is not pure vegetarian, which means there should be no onion, there should be no garlic. That is the standard, the basic standard we should have when we are having deities. So when you have deities at home and you're not following the 4 regulative principles, then Shastras tell us actually the deity may appear to be there, but the deity is not there anymore. Because Krishna will never be in the house, even the Devatas will never be in the house where the 4 regulative principles are not followed. So there must be no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit connections, and no gambling. These are the 4 very, very important regulative principles. Shastras tell us that if we don't follow those principles, then don't keep deities, because otherwise it is not considered deity worship. That's why in Kali Yuga, deity worship is very, very strictly followed, but carefully followed. Sudarshan Prabhu will tell you that actually very often Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's non-different from Krishna, he actually encouraged that the best method of worshipping the Lord in this Kali Yuga is actually the congregational chanting of the holy names. The deities are so kind that because of them giving us darshan, we are forced to chant Krishna's names. See, 1 hour, if we had no darshan of the deities, we would not be sitting and chanting Krishna's names. So actually the real diet that the deities are very happy with is the diet of chanting Krishna's names. Very important. So therefore, chanting Krishna's names and worshipping deities, they come hand in hand together. It's a very important thing that we should know. So please, if you have deities at home, then worship them in the proper way. If you don't, you are actually committing aparad. And when you commit aparad, you may be thinking, why nothing is working out? Why I'm not getting that bliss of serving the deities? That's because the quality and the behavior, right, of our life and our lifestyle is not in accordance with Shastra. In 331 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says unequivocally, Ye me matam midam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shraddhavanto anasuyanto tepi muchanti karma bihi. He says that those who follow my matam means injunctions, if they follow it with faith, shraddhavanto, and without envy, anasuyanto, then if they follow it that way, then they will be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. One of the greatest instructions of Krishna is to follow his instructions. Sometimes our simple instruction is just follow our instructions. In Vedic scriptures, we say, follow the instructions of your parents, your elders. That's all we have to do, just follow it, because they have more wisdom than we do. In the same way, the deities are the Supreme Lord, and Krishna is not different from the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme Lord. Krishna says he is Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, Mattaha Sarvam Pravartate. He says, I am the beginning, the origin of all material and spiritual things. Brahmaji, who chants the Brahma Samhita, says, Ishvaraha Parama Krishnaha, Sachit Ananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. In other words, the cause of all causes in this world, the origin of everything, the eternal, the first person in this universe, the supreme, the one without a second, is Krishna. It's Krishna. So we should be very clear that in Shastra, the deities of Krishna and Krishna himself are non-different. Today we saw the beautiful form of Krishna as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. They are non-different from Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. They descended in this world as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu just 500 over years ago in the Nadia district of West Bengal. And today, because of their descending in this world, we are all given the mercy of chanting the holy names of the Lord. When Krishna came and spoke the Bhagavad Gita was a bit of a stricter scripture, because there's so many things in the Bhagavad Gita that we're supposed to follow. But when Krishna came 500 years ago as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very lenient and merciful. He knew that in Kali Yuga, it is very difficult for people to follow instructions. Don't you find it's very difficult when when you try to tell someone that you mean well, that this is how they should behave? Very often people find it difficult. People find it difficult to accept authority in Kali Yuga because everyone thinks they are an authority. They don't follow the scriptures. They don't understand what is right, what is wrong. Actually, in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the definition of an asura is given. The definition of an asura is one who doesn't know what to do when and what not to do when. Sometimes we think we know something, but we're getting it from the internet. We're getting it because we are scrolling something that has nothing to do with Krishna, and we think that is Shastra. But nobody bothers to read the Gita. Nobody wants to understand what is actually true knowledge. And that is the reason why we are very, very steeped in illusion. But Mahaprabhu, Krishna is so kind that he's given something very simple. Even if you have no inclination to read, even if you have no inclination to even do deity worship at home, it is not compulsory in Kali Yuga that you must have deities. But it is compulsory in Kali Yuga that we must be able to chant the names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. I wanted to read a nice shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a very short verse, but it's very important to tell us about deity worship. In the 7th canto, 14th chapter, 39th verse, this is a nice discussion between Narada Muni and King Yudhishthir Maharaj. And at that point of time, it is very nicely stated by Narada. Dritsva tesham mitho nrinam avajnanatmatam ripa treta dishu harer archa kriyayai kavibi krita. You all know that actually in our cycle of time we have 4 yugas, isn't it? The first yuga is known as the golden age, Satya Yuga. Then after Satya Yuga we have Treta Yuga. Then after Treta Yuga you have Dwapara Yuga. And then now we are currently presently at the beginning of Kali Yuga. We are nowhere even close to the middle of Kali Yuga. We are in the beginning of Kali Yuga. So these are the yugas. In each yuga, in Satya Yuga, the inhabitants of this universe were very pure. And therefore it was very easy for them to remember Krishna. In Treta Yuga, it becomes more difficult, but they are still considered very advanced. In Dwapara Yuga, the standard of spiritual life drops. And in Kali Yuga, we are left with only one value which is considered to be still existing. And that value is actually honesty. And even then you will think, really is honesty a value in Kali Yuga? Because it's so difficult to find honesty actually. So that is something that's very important. Now in Bhagavatam, Narada Muni says a very nice point. He says, my dear king, when great sages and saintly persons saw mutually disrespectful dealings at the beginning of Treta Yuga, deity worship in the temple was introduced with all paraphernalia. This is a very important point. So therefore, in Bhagavatam, there is a very nice shloka. It is in the 12th canto, 3rd chapter, 52nd verse. Krishna tells us the purpose of deity worship and how we should do deity worship. He says, Kriteya dhyayato Vishnuhu, Tretayam yajato makaha, Dwapare paricharyayam, Kalau tadhari kirtanat. Whatever result one obtained in Satya Yuga, it was through meditation on Lord Vishnu. So in Satya Yuga, people could meditate. They could meditate for hours and days and months and years. For us, half an hour or 45 minutes is difficult enough, right? You just ask yourself whether you have the control to be able to sit down, not look at your phone, really pay attention to what is being said. Very difficult. 9 out of 10 of us have no sense control. We think we have, but actually we don't. And that is why it's very difficult in this world, during this Kali Yuga, to be able to concentrate. But in Satya Yuga, Krishna says, it was very easy. And therefore in Satya Yuga, the way of devotional service was meditation. In Treta Yuga, people perform yajnas, great sacrifices. Today our yajnas are not considered powerful because the brahmanas are not qualified. Today, Brahmanas are not actually qualified because they are not coming from the system of true spiritual education. Most people will call themselves Brahmanas because they are born in a Brahmanical family. But being born in a family doesn't make you qualified. If you're born in a family of doctors, does it mean you'll become a doctor? In this common sense world, it doesn't happen, right? Supposing I'm running a good business, it's not automatic that my son will be good enough. He may not, or he may. But it's no direct qualification. So actually, in today's world, to be able to perform yajnas is very difficult. The Brahmanas don't pronounce mantras properly. Sometimes they don't even know what they are saying. And very often, if you perform yajnas in this material world, you realize that you're burning a big hole in your pocket. Because it's very expensive. And at the end of the day, even the items of the yajna are not considered pure. Half the milk that we are taking are milk that have actually been generated from not in a non-violent way from cows, but by a lot of violence. So therefore, in Treta Yuga, they could perform sacrifices. But today we can't. We can't even meditate. There are so many systems here that speak about meditation. But actually it's very, very difficult to meditate. And it is so much more easier to chant Krishna's names because that is the meditation of the age. Then Krishna says that in Dwapara Yuga, what happened was devotees were actually encouraged to perform deity worship. So actually deity worship is actually very, very prominent during the time of Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. Dwapara Yuga deity worship was very powerful, which is why when the sages saw that as Treta Yuga was coming, devotees or even the inhabitants were starting to lose their respect for the Lord, then the Lord introduced deity worship in Dwapara Yuga. So deity worship is meant to build respect in our hearts, which is very, very important. So that's the first value that we must learn in deity worship. If we really worship and respect the deity, then respect means that our whole house, the quality and lifestyle of our house should change because of the deity. That is respect. If you invite someone home and make them a guest in the house, and then you create an atmosphere in the house which is not congenial to them, that is not being respectful to your guest. Krishna is the silent guest in all our houses. So we must actually respect him by changing the quality of our lives so that it moves around Krishna. If you have a deity, in the house and you're performing material activities, if your house has lust, anger and greed, then the deities have no place in the house. It will look like you have a nice altar, but actually the deities are not there. That's the problem. So therefore, that respect is needed. Which is why when we come together to chant the holy names, out of respect for the holy names, we don't perform any other activities, but we chant. We are engaged. So respect is very important to grow in devotional service, right? And an element of respect means to follow what Krishna says. Ye me matam idam nityam. If you follow what Krishna says, and if you follow the representatives of Krishna, then deity worship becomes very, very respectful and very pleasing. Very important. One more point Krishna says in 11.247 of Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is a very important verse. Acharyam eva haraye pujam ya shraddhaye hite na tad bhakteshu chanyeshu sa bhaktaha prakata amrita. Now Krishna tells in 11th canto, he's speaking to a great devotee known as Uddhava. And while he's speaking to Uddhava, he tells Uddhava this point. A person who is very faithfully engaged in the worship of the deity in the temple could be even in our house, but that person does not know how to behave towards devotees or people in general. He is known as a Kanishta Adhikari. There are three kinds of devotees. There is Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. Kanishta Adhikari is a devotee who's just taken up devotional service. The problem with that devotee is when they take up devotional service, sometimes there is a lot of pride. They think they know everything, but they've just started actually. They never want to hear authorities. They are not interested in hearing senior devotees. They are not really interested in knowing what Krishna wants. What happens is they worship the deities very nicely, but they forget one principle. that the deity is in the hearts of everyone as Paramatma. This is very important. Krishna is known as Antaryami. He's in the heart. And therefore, if we really want to please the deity, our behavior towards the deities in our lifestyle at home, and our behavior towards all the other people in general, as well as devotees, must reflect the way we serve the deities. You follow? So therefore, if we are taking care of the deities, but after that when we finish our puja, we are harsh with people, we lose temper with them, we criticize them, we find fault with them, this behavior will never please the deities. It is like what we call an elephant's bath. Have you seen elephants bathing? They will go into the water and bathe very nicely. Then they will come out on the land and take the mud and the sand and put it on themselves again. And you wonder, why did they take bath in the first place? That's what we call elephant's bath. So if we worship the deity, then we should remember that the deity is in everyone's heart. It is politics to behave nicely to the devotee and horribly to the, very nicely to the deities and horribly to the devotees. I'm sure, we have experienced that. When you do that, you are considered a devotee, but a devotee who is a Kanishta. A Kanishta devotee is a neophyte devotee, very raw and very immature. In that way, a Kanishta Adhikari cannot make advancement in devotional service. We cannot. As Kanishta, we cannot. What Krishna is telling us is, if you really want to worship the deity, then our behavior towards the deity, the respect, the love, and the care, and the mood of awe and reverence that we give to the deity is what we should give to the devotees, our family, as well as the people in general. Krishna says people in general. Sometimes as devotees, we become very proud. Oh, I'm a bhakta. And we look at other people and look down on them. Oh, you're very fallen. You're in Maya. That kind of thinking is Kanishta Adhikari. What we need to do, Krishna tells us, is to become Madhyama Adhikari. Madhyama Adhikari means that we have full faith that the deity is non-different from Krishna. We will actually know that if the deity is non-different from Krishna, Krishna is in everyone's heart. I better behave myself when I'm talking to everyone, because in that person's heart is Krishna. And that person is special to Krishna. You see? So a Madhyama Adhikari has that mood. Not only does he see Krishna in the deity, but he sees Krishna everywhere. Long time ago, there was a very famous deity known as Gopal in Vrindavan. The beautiful deity of Gopal. And there one day, one Brahmana, young Brahmana and an elderly Brahmana who came from the same village, they were touring, they were doing yatra, and they happened to take beautiful darshan of the deity of Gopal. At that point, the elderly Brahmana was very sick and no one was caring for him. But this young Brahmana saw that the elderly Brahmana needed help. So throughout the yatra, he was helping him. Now the elderly Brahmana was well-to-do and he had a very beautiful daughter. He was well placed. The younger Brahmana was very, very poor, but a real gentleman. Finally, the elderly Brahmana became so happy with the younger Brahmana that in the presence of the deity Gopal, he said, "My dear Brahmana, you have served me so well that when I go back to the village, I promise you my daughter's hand in marriage." The younger Brahmana said, "I'm not interested in running after your daughter, neither did I serve you to run after your daughter. But I'm serving you because Krishna is in your heart, and it is my duty to serve you. Now don't make promises you cannot keep." Because the younger Brahmana knew the elder Brahmana's family was very well to do. And you all know in marriages, sometimes one of the considerations is your background, do you have money in the bank, all these things become important. So the younger Brahmana said, don't in the heat of the moment in front of Gopal say something, because Gopal can hear and he can see and he is your witness, Sakshi, right? So then the elderly Brahmana said, no, I've made up my mind, this is what I will do. And so the younger Brahmana said, all right. Now one virtue of a Brahmana is that you must keep your word. When you say something, truth, right, is the cornerstone of a Brahmana. So they finished the yatra and they went back to the village. Nothing happened. Few days later, the younger Brahmana went to the elderly Brahmana who was seated outside in his hall, in his house, and said, "My dear sir, I have come to remind you of your promise. Because you're a Brahmana and you must keep your promise." And the elder Brahmana now became very worried. Because when he went back, he realized the reality of the situation was very different. When he told his wife that he wanted to give the daughter's hand in marriage to the younger Brahmana, the wife said, this is a great downgrade for us. And therefore, if that happens, right, I will take my life. You know, in those days, people were also very dramatic, isn't it? If they don't like something, they say, I'm going to jump down, I'm going to pour oil on myself and burn myself. You hear this a lot. So she said she will kill herself. Then he turned to his son. His son was an atheist, doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in the deity. He said that this young Brahmana served you because he wanted your money. If he comes here, I will beat him up. So the elderly Brahmana actually did not want the younger Brahmana to come because of this situation. But because he was a devotee, he kept praying in his heart to Krishna. He prayed to Gopal, the deity in Vrindavan. He may have physically left Gopal, but Gopal was carried in his heart. So the elderly Brahmana said, Gopal, only you can solve this situation. A deity sitting in Vrindavan, but he had so much faith. So when the young Brahmana came, the elderly Brahmana kept quiet, didn't say anything. Then what happened was, the son came out and said, if you come closer, I'll beat you up. You are trying to cheat my father and take my sister in hand for marriage. Get out. And so he left. But next time the Brahmana, young Brahmana came with the whole village. Okay? They were really dramatic even then. And so now he said, I want the whole village to witness that the elderly Brahmana had actually sworn daughter in hand of marriage to me. And the son came out again and said, this boy is a cheater. He took my father who was innocent and old and took advantage of him. Now, the villagers asked the younger Brahmana a very important question. You said he promised you. Where's your witness? You were in Vrindavan, right? You could have put a knife to his throat and said, now promise me your daughter. So where's your witness? And everyone started laughing. And then the younger Brahmana said, I have a witness. And everyone said, who? He said, the deity Gopal. And then everyone really started laughing. Because they thought, come on. If you stand before a deity and say that, you think the deity is going to come and bear witness? No. But the younger Brahmana said, I will go now to Vrindavan and I will speak to the deity Gopal and I will ask him to come and bear witness. If he comes and bears witness, will that be all right? Now see, Krishna is Antaryami. When Krishna is Antaryami, he has one quality that none of us has. He has the quality of adjusting what we call complete opposite situations. Nobody can do that except Krishna and the great devotees. They have the ability of adjusting a situation which is considered completely contrary and contradictory, but they can actually align it. So now when the younger Brahmana said, will you agree now that if I bring the deity Gopal here as witness, will you give your daughter's hand in marriage? The elder Brahmana had full faith in Gopal, the deity. So he prayed to Gopal in his heart and said, Gopal, please come with the Brahmana. He said, yes, I will give my daughter's hand. Now, what about the atheistic son? The atheistic son was thinking in his heart that this is the best situation possible. You and I know, first, God doesn't exist. Second, who has ever heard of a deity walking from one end to here? It's just stone. It's never going to come. So I will agree to it. You see how Krishna made everyone agree? The atheist agreed because he doesn't believe in God. The Brahmana agreed because he fully believed in God. And in their agreement came the alignment of what was a contradiction. This is the greatness of Krishna. Krishna can make everyone's heart aligned if we have faith in him. And so the younger Brahmana started a long walk to Gopal in Vrindavan. When he arrived in Vrindavan, it was in the night, and the deity's door was closed, but he somehow or another entered, and he sat before the deity, and he said, Gopal, I have come all this way because you must come as my witness. He explained the whole situation to him, just like you and I are talking. He talked lovingly to the deity Gopal. Nobody was there. At the end of it, he said, so Gopal, please come and bear witness, otherwise my reputation is gone, elder Brahmana's reputation is gone, and the atheists will say God doesn't exist. Please come. And the deity spoke to the Brahmana. And the deity said, Gopal, he said, young Brahmana, I'm very happy that you have come to see me. I give you my blessings. Go now and tell them that I have spoken. And they will all listen. The young Brahmana said, nobody will believe. They will say, I have spoken and I've come back. Then the deity said, then if I have not, then if you want me to, what else can I do to help you? And the young Brahmana said, Gopal, you have to walk. Then he said, I have never heard of a deity walking. And the young Brahmana said, I have never heard of a deity speaking. If you can speak to me, you can walk with me. And because of that Brahmana's complete faith in Krishna, Gopal, the deity, said, all right, I'll walk with you, but I have 1 or 2 conditions. As I walk with you, it's a long journey. I will walk behind you and you will walk in front of me. Okay? Now, as you walk with me, I will have my bangles. You know, he has those anklets that he wears. The Lord wears beautiful anklets. And he said that by the sound of my anklets, you will know I'm behind you. But you must never turn. The day you turn around, I will turn into the deity and I will not move. So if you want to make sure I come there, don't turn. The other thing I require is every day I require at least 1 kilogram of rice. Krishna's a big eater. So he said, I want some rice, cook it and offer it to me. Which is why in our tradition, we always offer prasadam to the deities. Bhoga. It goes as bhoga, it comes back as prasad. Even after this now, as the deities come, the first thing the deities will do is we will offer bhoga to them. Then after offering bhoga, we will do arati. You see? So sometimes we think we are the only ones eating. But we have no understanding that it's the deities who actually bless the bhoga and we take the prasad. So Krishna told him, if you can do that, then I will follow you. So the young Brahmana thought, what is 1 kg of rice? I'm very happy. I'll buy so much rice and offer it to you every day. And so they started their journey. And they walked and walked and walked. And Gopal could hear the anklet sounds of the Lord behind. Every day he cooked and offered to Krishna. And like that, days passed. Finally, he was coming to the edge of the town. At that point of time, he could not hear the anklets anymore. So he thought, where is Gopal? Has Gopal left me after all this walk? Has he abandoned me? What he did not realize by Krishna's arrangement was that so much sand had gone into the anklets that they could not ring. There was no sound anymore. But that was the exact place where Krishna wanted to stop. Right at the edge of the border of the village. So at that point of time, in great anxiety, the young Brahmana turned. And when he turned, Gopal became the deity. And he stood there with his hands on his flute, looking very beautiful, with bluish bodily features. Now the young Brahmana became very, very excited. He ran into the village and ran to the house of the older Brahmana and told the Brahmana and his family, Gopal, the witness, has come. And so everyone came out. And when the elderly Brahmana saw the deity had come all the way just to bear the witness of his devotee, he began to cry. And he fell at the lotus feet of Gopal. And together, the elderly Brahmana and the younger Brahmana started worship of this beautiful deity. And that is why till today, Sakshi Gopal is in that village only. If you go, how many of you have taken darshan of the deity? It's a beautiful deity, isn't it? Right? It's a beautiful deity. Now, once Sakshi Gopal was installed, right, many years later, Sakshi Gopal came under the reign of the King Purushottam Dev. And King Purushottam Dev had a wife known as Queen Padmavati. Padmavati wanted to offer a beautiful nose ring for Gopal, which was in her family for traditions. But then when as she was going to sleep, she realized that the deity Gopal may not have a nose, maybe there's no piercing. So how am I going to put then the nose ring, you see? So thinking that way, she went to sleep. When she went to sleep, Gopal came in a dream. And when he came in a dream, he said, my dear mother Padmavati, you have so much love for me that you have gone to sleep anxious, thinking whether can you put a nose ring on my nose or not, whether my nose is pierced or not. And then he told her, thousands and millions of years ago, when I was a little boy running around in the village of Vrindavan, my mother Yashoda actually pierced my nose. And she actually made me wear nose rings. But now, because of so much of weather and dust and everything, the piercing of the nose is not visible. So in the morning you go and you touch my nose and just rub it, and you will see that the piercing is there. And the moment that happened, Queen Padmavati woke up in the morning and she rushed to take darshan of the Lord. And when she went to see the Lord's transcendental nose, true enough, there was actually a hole. perfectly fitting the beautiful pearl that she could put. So if you go to Sakshi Gopal temple, once a year, right, during Janmashtami time, they will actually put this special nose ring. And the nose ring is so shining that even if you stand out, you will see the deity from far, but you can actually see the dazzling feature of the nose ring. And this nose ring is actually given by Queen Padmavati. And it tells you that the Lord is not stone, the Lord is not wood, the Lord is transcendental. He can spiritualize your senses. You cannot see Him with your material senses because they are so tainted with sinful activities. But if you are chanting, if you're reading, if you have changed the quality of your lifestyle, that purification of your consciousness will allow you to experience the Lord's darshan. Which is why for 90% of the people, they always keep saying, I've never seen the Lord, I think it's just stone, He doesn't exist. But if you speak to devotees who have changed their lives because they can actually follow the principles of Krishna consciousness, they will tell you wonderful pastimes of their deities. They will tell you how they have sat down with their deities and talked to them and prayed to them, and how their deities have responded. So it's very different. That kind of deity worship is very different from the sentimental idea that, oh, when I see Krishna, I think of Vrindavan and I begin to cry. That is sentiment. If someone who drinks, smokes, and does everything which is opposite to Vedic literature and scripture, if he or she comes and tells you, I dreamt of Krishna and I started crying, then you know it is bogus and it is sentiment. One time there was a sadhu. He was speaking to a group of listeners in Bhagavatam class. Suddenly he saw at the corner one elderly lady. She kept crying and crying, and he thought, wow, when I'm speaking about Krishna, she's just crying and crying. And so at the end of the class, he went to see her and he said, what is it? How much devotion you must have that as you are hearing the pastimes of Krishna, you are crying. And the elderly lady said, actually, sadhu, when I looked at you, I saw your beard. My goat, my pet goat, died 2 days ago. And when I saw you with the beard, I was reminded of my goat. Because my goat had a nice beard like yours. And so I began to think of my goat and how much I'm missing my goat. And that's why I'm crying, you see. So actually, if we are not practicing bhakti, whatever sentiment we express for the Lord is sentiment. Religion without philosophy is sentiment. Please remember that. Philosophy without religion or bhakti is just pure speculation. You need both. You need to be able to study your scriptures and understand what you're doing, and you need to change your lifestyle to receive the deities. That is the way we receive the Lord. When we take darshan of the Lord, another word is for darshan is ikshanam. Ikshanam means to take audience of the Lord. That is how we should see Krishna. That we are taking audience of Him. Because He is royalty and we are His servants. In that mood, the deities will protect us. So this is something that we should remember. Are the deities ready, Prabhu? Yes. They are? Okay. Sudarshan Prabhu, Kaushalya Mataji? They are ready. So you want to bring them out? I can do Kirtan and then we can start the offering there. So